Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dylan. This show is for aspiring creators who want to turn their content into a profitable business by studying the people who are actually doing that. My guest today is Mr. CupppaJoe5. Joe is a longtime friend of this podcast and of Grindstone. He's a Call of Duty Warzone creator, helping players get better at the game. And about a year ago, Joe quit his 9-to-5 job to do content full-time, which is very cool. We talk about what that first year of full-time has been like for Joe, why Joe started a brand new channel from scratch, the proper way to pick a niche and grow in it, why you should raise your prices of whatever your monetized offer is, how to attract new audience members, and much, much more. Talking to Joe is always very fun, energetic, and insightful. He worked harder than most human beings I think I've ever met. And so without further ado, I hope you enjoy my conversation with CupppaJoe5. Mr. Joe, you have been a full-time content creator for just about a year now. Yep. And I would love to know, within this year as a full-time creator, what is getting easier and what is getting harder?
Oh, in the first year as a full-time content creator, what is getting easier? What is getting harder? Just the process gets easier. I think actually, let's start with the hardest part. And like the hardest part initially is adjusting back to working like normal. And this was a big struggle for me. And honestly, 1 year in is still a little bit of a struggle for me because I was working so much. I mean, when you are going to become a full-time content creator and you're balancing another job, you are working a lot. You know, you're sacrificing time with friends, you're working weekends, you're working nights, you're sleeping less potentially. And all of a sudden, I quit my job and it like all changed. And I was like, well, now what am I supposed to do? All I know to a certain extent is work and being busy. And for lack of a better term, it's almost kind of like you have to, at least for me, like I had to learn how to be bored again and like just sit on the couch and watch TV and not just always think about something that I could be doing. I think the easier part is just understanding what the day-to-day looks like. You know, it again took me some time to get into a in terms of, you know, we wake up. And for me personally, going back to that being bored adjustment, it was never a struggle for me to like get motivated to work. Like I was like itching to get to work. You know, a lot of people would be like, wow, like I'm a full-time content creator. I don't have to start work until 11 o'clock. It's like, no, I am on the PC 8:30 every day. You know, I am off the PC, kind of depends. I have a kid, so you know, he comes home at like 4:30, 5 o'clock from school, and I'm always off the PC. Then I shut down until he goes to bed. And then from there, my wife and I might watch TV. She goes to bed early, so because she's a teacher, so she goes to bed early, at which point I go back down and go to work. That's just kind of my day. And it's been a little bit of a transition getting to that schedule comfortability and understanding what the day-to-day looks like. So I think now that's the easiest part. I think the hardest part, actually, to be honest with you, is disconnecting. You can work whenever you want to. I can be eating dinner and work if I want to. I can be, you know, I always have my phone. I always have YouTube. I always have TikTok on my phone. Like I can comment back to people. I can check on how videos are doing. When I check on a video, then I think about, okay, and it's underperforming. Then I'm like, do we need to change something? Like, it's hard to disconnect at times to the point I've thought about, like, do I get a second phone just for work? I'm not quite there yet, but it has crossed my mind. I think that's the hardest part is you're too close to it at a certain point.
Do you feel like you always need something to be doing? Like what I mean by that is you and I have had several conversations around you being just a absolute workhorse, like a machine. And you just mentioned going from full-time job plus basically already acting as a full-time content creator, or at least working on the content side as though you already were full-time, to just removing half of your entire workload by quitting the day job. And then as I just heard it, it's like there was this void of like, well, what do we replace that time with? What do we replace that effort and energy with? And so yeah, I guess the real question I have is, what do you find so difficult about just chilling, or as you put it, being bored?
I think the tough part for me is like I can always do more. So like I think that's part of the show. Now, let me give you some context here because I think this is important. We obviously talked about this before. I started a third YouTube channel. So I had to for a lot of different reasons. A lot of it has to do with how Call of Duty content is and how the analytics work. So I separated into two separate channels. Obviously running TikTok. I actually recently brought an editor on to do my TikToks and my shorts, so we could talk about that a little bit later on. And then, yeah, I started a third channel as well. So now when it comes to like, there is no being bored. Like I always need more hours in the day because of how much I'm doing. And yeah, there's that argument when you get to a certain point, like, do you bring on more editors and stuff to really help you out? My view on it, at least for my type of content, is like, it's just better for me to do the work. It's having an editor do something, at least with my content, is not necessarily going to help me grow a ton. So I feel confident in my own abilities to piece stuff together. I'm also a big guy. I like to really track like analytics and certain things. I just like having my finger on the pulse on everything, which isn't always the best decision, but at least for me, I feel like it is right now. So, when it comes to kind of filling that void, it's like I just kind of filled it with more work. Like that's really what it came down to. And then, as I said, over the past like few months, I've really started to like bring it back. I'll give you an example. I was streaming like 3 to 4 days a week. Now I'm like 5 days a week streaming. There's still only 2-hour streams, but like every single day I'm streaming. I'm more consistent with that. I'm not really missing any uploads. I'll miss some here or there, but also that third channel now, which is basically me just playing video games for the first time. I only grew up playing like Call of Duty and sports games. So I never played like GTA 5. I never played Red Dead Redemption 2, never played like Spider-Man, Batman, God of War, like you name it. I haven't played it. So I really recently started a channel there where I am playing games for the first time. So now we're adding in, and I also recently made the decision, going back a little bit to this workaholic fill the void dynamic, that I'm posting every day on that channel. So I've posted every day. I started off at every other day. Now I'm posting. I started like early February posting every single day on that channel. So yeah, I just kind of fill it with more work in my sense, but I've also balanced it a lot more. And, I'm not working on weekends anymore, except for like one Sunday a month. So, I've really I filled it with more, and I'm staying busy, but I'm also really balanced when it comes to my time management.
And so I want to get into the editor piece. I want to sort of like double click on a lot of the things that you just relayed on, but let's talk about this third channel, this Let's Play channel, this Joe playing video games for the first time.
I'm all in on this, by the way. Like I love Warzone. I love Call of Duty. It's so much fun, and I enjoy coaching and everything. I don't know if it's the challenge with the Let's Play channel. I think it's a balance of experiencing a game for the first time and kind of being uncomfortable and like the shocks and the twists. And I mean, if you're listening to this, like think about the first time you played a game and that first like big moment happens and you're just completely caught off guard. My perspective is you can never get that back. You can never have your first time playthrough of something back. But I don't know what happens in Red Dead 2. I don't know what happens in Spider-Man. I don't know what happens in, The Last of Us Part 1. But you do. So it's about to happen and you get to enjoy that experience with me. So I think it's partially that kind of excitement of playing a game for the first time and the challenge. It's a totally different space that I'm used to. So just trying to figure out the YouTube dynamic. So back to you with the Let's Play. Let's dive in a little further.
Yeah, real quick. It makes me think of when I was rewatching Game of Thrones with a few of my friends. I just had this thing. I've done this with a few shows where I watch it, I love it, I get obsessed with it, and then I try to get one of my friends or a woman that I'm dating at the time to watch it, and then I watch them watch it. You want to see them experience all the things that you experience, just like you mentioned. And I don't know if you've seen Game of Thrones or if people listening. There's
Sorry, haven't seen it.
There's this intense episode or sort of scene called the Red Wedding, where basically like a handful of your favorite characters just get violently betrayed and murdered. And I watched it by myself. It was just like, I'm just sitting in my room, my dark room, looking at my TV, just like, what what the hell? What just
Yeah.
happened? I thought it was fake. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to see my friends do this. One of my friends watched it. She started crying, and I was just like, yes, yes, beautiful, beautiful. Anyway, different vibes, but I think analogous. And so this Let's Play channel, why specifically did you start it, and what have been the main lessons that you've gathered from trying to grow it?
Yeah. So what made me start it? I just wanted to expand. I think now, Dylan, correct me if I'm wrong. You are YouTube focused, but not necessarily gaming in particular. It could be anything, right?
Right. We work with video creators, and since our main acquisition channel has been Twitter, I just think Twitter is sort of where a lot of streamers, gamers,
Yeah.
YouTubers live, but video creators who are monetized and want to go full time. That's our
Yep.
community and client base.
So ultimately, what this is part of it. I think for one part is I just wanted a challenge. I just wanted something different. I had seen a few people, kind of in this space, and I thought it was a unique opportunity for myself. Now, very similar to when I first started, and I was very naive. When I first started making Warzone content on TikTok, I thought nobody else is doing this. This is going to be easy. And then lo and behold, I just had no idea. Very similar with the Let's Play channel, where I had no idea that this was this big of a space. It's a very crowded, it's a very big space, but it's a very crowded space. There's a lot of people who do this, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with that challenge. The other dynamic is, I work for myself. I run my own business as a content creator, but I'm at the mercy of the people making Warzone and Call of Duty. If the game is great, the views are great. If the player base is big, the views are great. If they make dumb business decisions and the game drops, then my views drop. And even though I'm running my own business, I'm kind of at the mercy of them, which is a very scary place to be, because I have no control over the decisions that they make. I am, part of their creator team, and I kind of can help give feedback at times, but I'm not the guy who makes the decisions. So it was kind of that balance of both where, hey, I kind of see this unique opportunity, and I recognize that when you're not at the mercy of, games come out every single year. There's a game of the year every single year. There's new games, there's sequels, there's other games that I can go back and play. There's so many games out there that I don't have to be at the mercy of one gaming studio. Now it's just about balancing all three, because I still do love Warzone. I still do love Call of Duty. I still do love coaching, and all the videos I do. But I'm also really enjoying this other opportunity that I have, and kind of growing that as well.
So you're diversifying your portfolio, so you're not putting all your eggs in any one particular basket.
Yep.
Okay, so now that makes so much sense why you asked about the gaming question before you gave that answer, because, man, we are seeing this a ton within Grindstone. It's a big struggle. Actually, crazy timing. Yesterday, one of our creators sent me a text and was like, "Hey, man, I'm quitting content." Like in the midst of the program. And I was like, "Oh, interesting. What's going on?" He makes made content about this game, Football Manager, which is, you manage football teams. Yeah, but it's now similar to FIFA, but you are running your own squads. Yeah. And they were supposed to come out with their new game in the fall. They didn't. It was delayed. And then about a month ago, after hearing nothing, they finally just said, we're not making it. We don't even really know when we're going to make it. And there's all these Football Manager creators who are just like, well, what do we do now? What the hell do we do now? Mm-hmm. And exactly what you just said. It's like, if your entire audience and years of content have been built on this one game, then that's a lot of power that this franchise has over you and your livelihood, especially if you're full time. And so we started talking about this spectrum where on one end, creators have no niche, and they can't build an audience. They have no identity. Someone subscribes 1 month, and then they're a variety creator, and they're making all sorts of different. And then next month, the people who subscribed no longer are getting the thing that they thought that they were going to keep getting by subscribing.
Yep.
And then on the other end, which again is especially prevalent for gamers, there's being niche trapped, where like you have this one thing, this one thing. If you stray even a little bit, like we're done, we're not interested, views tank, everything tanks. And so finding this happy medium of niche mastery is what we call it, where basically people love you, the creator. And I guess it's so many people's dream. It's just being a variety creator, which is just like,
Right.
I don't want to commit to any one particular thing. I just want to, record content that I think is fun, and it's my artistic vision. It's really, really, really hard, if not impossible, for a lot of creators to hit that point. And so, anyway, just to provide some extra context for this conversation, what are your thoughts? What's your take on just how do you build a real audience with a thing and a niche, and do all the things without being so trapped, whether it's in the gaming context or something else? How do you make sure that your whole livelihood as a creator doesn't go under if they stop making the game that you play, for example?
I think I do want to say that there is a balance, right? Like, being niche trapped isn't a bad thing, right? Like Call of Duty will never die. It will never die. It's not going anywhere they've been around for 2 decades now. It is never going to die. You could probably make the argument that Fortnite at this point is never going to die. The player count may go down, but they can easily get it back. It's this ebb and flow. So like audience size does matter a lot. I always look at Fortnite, right? So Fortnite, you look at some of the top creators, and there's a guy, Cypher PK, and every single video he does has 1 million views. There has not been a 1 million view Call of Duty video in like months. And why is that? Well, it's just audience size, right? The audience right now on YouTube for Fortnite is much bigger, and there's a bigger pool than in Call of Duty. There's an ebb and a flow to it. So all that to say, like, some of you might be, I'm gonna be harsh here for a second. There might be some of you who are, we'll call it niche trapped in a game that's just not possible to go full time in. Like the audience size is just not big enough to actually create enough revenue to support yourself full time. And like that's a harsh thing to kind of harsh pill to swallow, but it's also just the truth. Then we go into niche trap. There's also where we start to broaden a little bit is you can go story mode games and not be full variety, but you're expanding that category a little bit. I'll again go close to home for me. I have a good content creator friend of mine who we've had a lot of conversations, and he looks at like Call of Duty, Battlefield, maybe even a little bit of Halo. Like first person shooters is a category. It's bigger than Call of Duty in and of itself, but it's not full variety gaming, right? So there is kind of that balance as well. I'll give you another example. You could do like racing games, right? Like you could have Forza Horizon be your main game and you make full-time money. You could also go a little bit further and expand upon that a little bit. So there is that balance, and there's kind of levels to being niche trapped. Biggest thing with variety gaming, guys, is it's entertainment. Like it is the hardest niche or the hardest type of content to break into. When we look at content buckets, right, we have, again, coming back to Warzone, we have elite gamers, right? So we have the guys who are pro and competitive and are absolutely insane at the game. We have educational, which is what I do, helping people improve. And then you have entertainment, right? People who, you don't have to be good at the game. You don't have to tell anybody how to get good. I'm just going to watch you because you're fun to watch. You're funny. You're engaging. That is the hardest space to break into. That's sort of what my Let's Play channel is. And one of the challenges that I've discovered is like, I got to get people to subscribe for me. Nobody's clicking on this video because I'm playing Spider-Man, right? I've got to figure out how do I get people to be engaged with me and want to watch me. And that is ultimately how you start to create this variety sense where, hey, no matter what game I play, people are going to watch. Not every person, when I think about the pool, right? If you have 100 people, if 100 people subscribe because of Red Dead 2, because I'm playing Red Dead 2, and then I finished Red Dead 2, and now I'm playing God of War. Well, maybe 15 people that subscribe because of Red Dead 2 want to watch me play God of War. But then 2 months from now, I'm playing Batman. And maybe, okay, 15 people from that 100 didn't want to watch me play God of War, but maybe 15 people do want to watch me play Batman, right? So I am really thinking about this big pool of, okay, I know that every person that subscribes from this game isn't going to be interested in every game I play, but you just start pulling little buckets here, little buckets there. Of course, you get an influx of new subscribers when you start a new game who are interested. So that's kind of my thought with variety gaming is kind of, you're not going to please everybody, but your goal is to kind of create this big pool where you can ultimately satisfy the entertainment component for enough people that you create that full-time revenue for yourself. And I'll give you a great example of this. This is wild to me because I was showing a friend of mine. There is a guy on YouTube, used to be in the Call of Duty space. He's been doing this for 15 years. So he's on a different level than a lot of us will ever be on. He's got millions of subscribers. This dude played an Alaskan ice road truck simulator. Episode 1, 500,000 views. You know the ice road trucker shows? Alaskan ice road truck simulator, 500,000 views. You know, that's a big pool, right? I don't even know what that might be the most watched Alaskan ice road trucker simulator video there is on YouTube. And he also has a lot of success in the simulator space. So that's something he's carved a niche out. He plays a lot of games, but he did a streamer life simulator series where he was getting 100, 200,000 views. I mean, this guy's doing a streamer life simulator. Hey, I am a streamer and content creator, and I'm playing a streamer life simulator, and he's getting like 200,000 views doing it. So I always think about like big pools, especially in that niche dynamic where like, how big is your audience size?
Yeah. And I mean, that last point too, hitting on the unfair advantage of just already having lots of credibility and notoriety and authority. Just as a creator in general, right? Mr. Beast could upload a video today and it's 15 seconds of him sitting on the toilet filmed with his iPhone. Right. And it's called I Take a Poo-Poo. That's going to get significantly more views than if I uploaded a YouTube video today and I poured my heart and soul into whatever, like he's got the star power. He has such a huge audience and so much notoriety. Same with Elon Musk. If he tweets, I do to cha-cha like a little girl, it's going to get hundreds and
right.
It might be his most viral tweet. I mean, that's a bomb-ass tweet to be frank. But the unfair advantage of just being in the game and being recognized is another big part of this. But you're talking about entertainment. And also what I heard in that is connection as well. Like how connected do we feel? How invested do we feel in this creator, right? Joe stops playing Warzone and then starts playing Batman. Well, what would make us continue to go over there? It's like, well, do we like Joe? Do we feel a connection to him? And do we want to see him do fill in the blank? Then yeah, we're gonna follow him. And that comes full circle into why you started this Let's Play channel. And I'm not sure if we touched on every single one, but what have been your main takeaways and lessons from starting and then growing this Let's Play channel?
YouTube is hard. Like YouTube is difficult. I thought I had it figured out. And maybe part of it is that Warzone is easy. I think that's a big dynamic of it. The Call of Duty player base and I should say like the audience that consumes content, like they don't want the crazy stories. Like you look at some of the stuff that works on Fortnite, it's never going to work in COD. It's just never going to work. But the audience just isn't the same. Like it's very like tips and loadouts. Like that's what they want. And like, what's the best weapon to use? So then I went over to like this totally new space. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was like, my click-through rates are really low. My watch time is all over the place. And I've just like really learned. And I think this is a big thing that a lot of people struggle with is, hey, I'm going to post a video. It does great. Okay, awesome. Why? It did bad. Why? And this is, if there's one big thing that I want people to take away from this, and this is something that I've actually learned in an article I read recently, which is ask why multiple times. right? So this video did bad. Why? Because the click-through rate is bad. People stop right there. That's where people stop. Click-through rate is bad. Why is the click-through rate bad? Well, the title's not engaging enough, or the title doesn't create enough curiosity. Why? Well, because I think it's too open-ended, or I don't think it tells enough about what's going on, right? So when we start asking why multiple times, we start to get to the bottom of what is actually going on. You know, the view duration's bad, the AVD's bad. Why? Well, when we look at the retention chart, looks like the hook, the intro wasn't good enough. People stop there. That's it. Most people stop at the average view duration's bad, right? So then we go another step further. Why is the average view duration bad? Okay, let's look at the retention chart. Looks like we have a pretty big drop off in the first 30 seconds. Why? Okay, now we start to look at what was the first 30 seconds, right? What did we do this time that we didn't do a different time, right? And we're getting picky with like words here. I mean, 4 extra words than you need could cause somebody to click off. And this is something that I've just full transparency here. Like I've really, really battled with this Let's Play channel of what does my intro look like? What does my pacing look like? Am I on screen immediately? Am I not on screen immediately? Am I starting right in the game? Am I doing a 30-second intro? Am I doing a 10-second intro? Am I telling people to, and I'm just going to spitball here, like all the things that I've thought about over the past few months. Like, am I telling people to subscribe in the intro? Am I telling them to subscribe in the first 20 seconds? Am I telling them to subscribe 2 minutes down the road, right? Am I mentioning that this is my first time playthrough? Am I not mentioning that this is my first time playthrough? You know, how much am I giving them of what's going to happen in the episode versus how much do I want to create that curiosity? So these are all different things that we really start to pay attention to and ask ourselves that you'll learn just by paying attention to your analytics, your retention charts, your click-through rates. The other really, really big one that I want you guys to look at in YouTube Studio, this is something that I've recently, again, learned with this Let's Play channel, which is, if I can actually pull it up on my PC, I can tell you exactly where it is. So if you go into your analytics for a specific video, okay, so go into your analytics for a specific video, you're going to go to audience, and then you're going to go to watch time from subscribers. Okay. So that shows you what is the watch time for a subscriber versus somebody who is not subscribed. And then from there, if you click see more, you can actually see the average view duration of each category. Okay. So why I highlight this is I had a video the other day that the watch time, the average view duration, was a green arrow up. And I guarantee you most people have had this situation happen. The average view duration was a green arrow up. Great. People are watching longer. The click-through rate was a green arrow up. Great. People are clicking more. The views was a check mark and was a 9 out of 10. And I'm like, this makes absolutely no sense. I'm like, this is baffling right here. After really digging deeper and using what YouTube gives me with the analytics, I realized that my subscribers were carrying my average view duration. So my average view duration for subscribers was like 20 minutes and my non-subscribers was like 5 minutes. And then I ultimately have to figure out, why is that? Why is it that when somebody clicks on my channel for the first time or clicks on a video, there's something here they're not staying. And by the way, my videos are like an hour and 15 minutes. So like, don't psych yourself out because I'm getting like 15-minute average watch time. Length of video goes into that. But I have to figure out, like, what is it about what I am doing that non-subscribers who don't know who I am are leaving the video early? I don't have the answer to that yet. You know, that's something I'm still working through. I'm still playing through with different types of intros, all of these different things that hopefully allow people who are not subscribed to stay longer, at which point the video gets pushed even broader.
And so just workshopping that, how much of that, the question to me is, how much of that is in your controllable intro and how you communicate with a viewer, i.e., are they a stranger? They've never heard of you. What's the 5-second snapshot of how they get to know you in this video? But also, well, do your subscribers just naturally want to watch more of you because they're already bought in? How do you, in your intros, talk to the viewer?
Yeah, I'm always there's a general rule of thumb. You probably see this with like Mr. Beast, right? You always make videos for new audience because your subscribers are going to watch you. So again, I'm still kind of playing around with this with my intros. But if I say, welcome to my first ever playthrough of Spider-Man versus welcome back to my first ever playthrough of Spider-Man, right? Like, what is that difference right there? And again, this is something I'm still playing. Is there a difference? There might not be a difference, right? But do I mention that this is my first time playthrough? Because that first time playthrough, as you said the Game of Thrones example, right? Let's go back to that one. If you don't know it's that person's first time watching, it's probably not as exciting. Even though that might be their first time watching, but if you don't know that for sure, like if I sat down on the couch with you, right, and we didn't talk at all and we watched that, you're gonna look for my reaction to see what it is, but it's not going to be as good as if I said, yeah, I've never seen this before. And you're like, oh, I know what's coming. I know what's about to happen here. This is going to get crazy. Right? So there is that balance of like, hey, for me, when do I mention it? And how do I mention it? Because it is important. And that's something that, again, I've learned over the last probably, 8 to 10 episodes of playing around with stuff. And that's the other thing, guys. You can't change the intro, right? You can change the title. You can change the thumbnail. We just got to learn from the intros. That's the biggest thing.
For the longest time, Alex Hormozy in his videos would give the hook. Hey, like, here's the opener. This is, confirms title, thumbnail, and sets expectations for what you're going to get out of this video. Done. Oh, and if you don't know who I am, my name's Alex Hormozy. I blah, 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 blah. And I make these videos to blah, 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 blah. That was like for a couple of years, his general layout. And so there was always this, oh, and if you don't know who I am, that. And I think he's since stopped doing that to save time and just has an on-screen title like Alex Hormozy, CEO acquisition.com, maybe another short little bio.
See, like even now I'm thinking like, I want to try that, right? And be like, blah, 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 blah. Welcome to my first ever playthrough of Spider-Man, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and if you don't know who I am, my name's CuppaJoe. I never played story mode games until 2024 because I grew up playing COD and sports games. And then I'll finish it off somehow and then transition.
Love it.
And the subscribers are going to either after 2 episodes, they're just going to click forward to getting into the actual, they'll know to skip it or they'll just let it play every time.
Yep. I love it. And he also mentions this Ford story of the Ford factory, like the Model Ts, where Ford for like 6 months saw this particular marketing campaign, these ads, these headlines, these images, 6 months. And he's just like, God, like 6 months I've been seeing this thing. And after 6 months, he goes up to his marketing director's office. He's just like, hey, and he goes like, huh? He's like, when are we gonna stop running this ad campaign? And his marketing director is just like, we haven't started running it yet. And so the lesson there is you get so sick and bored and tired of saying the same thing over and over and over, and like your message, your intro, your vibe, your stuff. You get so sick of it way before most people have even heard of you or even know that you exist. And so it's just about coming up with new and interesting and fun ways for you to literally just say the exact same thing and make it as open and inviting and as accessible as possible to, most people. And if you have 1,000 subscribers, then that means hopefully most people who stumble upon you have never heard of you.
It's a big pool out there. It is a massive, there's so many people. It is crazy, especially with YouTube's moving to TV now. Now, I've seen a huge jump in the number of people who are watching on TVs. Not that changes anything for my content. It's just where people choose to watch. And now all of a sudden, instead of them having to open their laptop and, play it on their phone, they just throw it on their TV and let it roll. I think another big thing to understand here for everybody listening is you're competing for attention. That's it. That's the name of the game. And you're not competing against, you are competing against me for attention, right? You're competing against other people in your space. You're competing against other people on YouTube. You're competing against Mr. Beast. You're competing against Netflix. You're competing against somebody reading a book. You're competing against somebody listening to a podcast. You're competing against, you name it, anything that people do for entertainment, right? They are choosing to watch your video over doing something else. That something else is a huge, huge pool of things they can do. But that's all we're doing. We're competing for attention here, and we're providing entertainment or education or, elite gameplay, depending on what you're doing.
What have been the most important and valuable and educational mistakes that you have made over the last year?
Mistakes? I think at times I'm too quick to change title thumbnail. Sometimes you got to trust it a little bit, and give it some time. Like, I'm very quick to pull the trigger, but that goes back to me being a quote unquote workaholic. Like, I just check it. And if it's not doing well, I just start thinking about every reason that could be why it's not doing well. And, sometimes you got to let stuff go a little bit and let it kind of play itself out, especially if you're in the variety space and kind of doing different things, let it find the audience, let it get out there, give it 24 to 48 hours. I'd say 24, give it 24 hours and then really kind of take a look at it and see where it's struggling. Obviously, again, you can't fix the intro or the retention. You can fix title thumbnail and try to position it that way. But I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes. I would also say, like, it's not a mistake, but I wish I had gotten into Let's Play sooner, right? Last year was a great year for me. I had my best year ever. But yeah, I mean, there's always that, like, hey, I wish I had started this sooner, but you can't change that.
Being, as my friend Laura calls it, checky, where you're just checking. No real intention or purpose, just checking. Oh, let me just.
Yeah.
You brought that up a few times now, and I'm curious as to how that helps, and then how it hurts in terms of, like, the point of diminishing return. Like, okay, I check this thing to stay up to date, great, but then how many times do I have to check this thing? And then at what point is it just damaging my own sanity and mental health? So yeah, how would you break that down?
Yeah,
where
I mean,
it helps and hurts.
Like, well, how does it help? The only way it helps is if it's doing good and you feel happy because of it. You get that dopamine rush. That's the only way it helps. Yeah, I mean, it definitely hurts at times because you start overthinking things. You start overthinking, should I have worded it this way? You start making changes. Like, it definitely hurts, and yeah, when a video is doing good and checking it an hour later to see that it's still doing good, I mean, I guess that's a way that it helps because it just helps that dopamine again, right? That feel good feeling of, hey, I know this video is doing well. But the reality is, like, checking it's not going to change anything in the moment, and especially if if we sit here and say, okay, like 24 hours is when you get to make a first change. Checking it hour 18 versus, checking it every single hour up until that 24-hour mark it's not going to help anything. Checking this definitely isn't good, but I also think it's just part of being a content creator.
Yeah. And a human being, right? Like, even if we're not making YouTube videos, we know what it's like to post an Instagram photo and want to check and see that hopeful flooding of hearts come our way.
Yeah.
Like,
you said it previously, where, we always look at these technology companies and these technology algorithms from an audience perspective. These things are built to keep people on the platform, to keep people watching more videos. We never talk about it from a creator perspective. The green arrow going up on YouTube, that's meant to give you that dopamine feeling that you want to check. That 7 out of 10 or the 2 out of 10, like, that's designed to give you a feeling that keeps you on the platform.
Yeah.
It has succeeded with me.
Well, you and so many others. I mean, everybody else. It's called gamification because it literally turns this into a video game. It turns this into a fun, exciting video game, but the video game is your business and your income.
Yeah.
And speaking of income, I would love to take a little tour into your revenue streams, if you'd be willing. And I think we talked about this in the very first interview we did, which was now like coming up on 3 years ago, which is wild. So let's just go one by one. You share as much as you're willing to share. We don't have to get into specific numbers, but I would love to just break down how Mr. CupppaJoe5 makes an income and supports himself with
Yeah, I'm pulling it up here. Because
content creation.
I can give you kind of a little bit of everything. So I don't want to go into like specific numbers. I think one of the most important things and the way that I think about it at all times is total pool, right? So I'm thinking about like, here's the number that I want to make at the end of the year. I understand that there's going to be natural ebbs and flows in content creation, both from a audience perspective of like, hey, at certain times, kids are going to be in school, people are going to be busier, summertime, people at certain moments, people are going to watch less than other times of the year. There is an ad revenue side of this where like January is notoriously lower in RPMs, which is how much you get paid per 1,000 views, than other months because it's post Christmas. Companies aren't spending as much, new fiscal year, like all that stuff. So I always think about total pool. Now, when I look at my revenue, I have diversified a ton. So like I have a ton of different places that I pull this total revenue from. So we have YouTube main. So my main YouTube channel, I post every other day. Those videos get anywhere from like minimum is like 10K, really good video, 100K plus. And those are all educational. So those are evergreen. So a lot of times those videos will just keep going and going and going, collecting dollars here and there for months on end. My YouTube second channel is all like best weapon based in Warzone. That's a kind of, again, I don't want to go too far into the analytics of why I did that, but there is a reason. It has to do with like click-through rates and average view durations and stuff like that. Those are very short, quick hitters, 1 or 2 days, maybe 3 days, and then those videos die out. So those are anywhere from 5 to 10K per video.
And just for extra context,
yeah.
the main you're at right around 360,000 subs, and how many for the second?
55,000, right around there. And then third channel is monetized. That's making dollars at this point, but obviously just focusing on growing that channel is at, let's see, 2,300 subs. I'm kind of anywhere between like 200 and 500 views per video. Again, posting every day there, but nothing really, I'm not adding much to the total pool with that channel yet. My goal for 2025 is to definitely exponentially grow this channel as much as I possibly can. And yeah, like my goal for 2025, again, thinking about that total pool, is somewhere in the $1,000 to $2,000 range a month, and just add a little bit extra on top to what else I have going on. On top of that, I do have streaming as well. So when I talk about streaming, part of my YouTube main channel revenue is going to be streaming and memberships, super chats, stuff like that. Also streaming on Twitch, which is multi-streaming. So I'm getting subs and revenue over there every month. I average probably around 50 to 75 viewers there. So nothing crazy. My YouTube streams are somewhere around, anywhere between 300 and 400. So, somewhere between like 350 to 450 viewers at any point in time.
And were you not on Kick at one point?
I was on Kick. I dabbled in Kick. I just decided, let's just go forward with actually I tried Kick. I just didn't love it, to be honest with you. They didn't feel like the audience size was big enough there. Didn't feel like it was anything substantial. So I stopped that, and then I went back to Twitch and a few months later, and then I got really into multi-streaming. And for those of you guys who do stream out there, like, consistency is crucial. Consistency in your schedule is so important. I know it's not possible for everybody, but previously for me, and we'll kind of side tangent this and then we'll go back to revenue. Previously for me, I was streaming Monday nights, Tuesday mornings, Wednesday maybe, Thursday morning, Friday night. So like, it required a lot of work from the audience to figure out when I was streaming. What day is it? When is it? Oh, Joe, Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, but I'm West Coast. So like, I just stream 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday now. That's it. I keep it super simple. Twitch, YouTube, same time every day. Come find me. And I have noticed that has helped a lot. But again, that is much easier when I am a full-time content creator than if you are, balancing a job or something like that. So YouTube main, YouTube second, YouTube third, Twitch. I also, because I am in the Warzone educational space, I do have a full-fledged Warzone coaching program. I have about 20 to 30 people in
Actually,
there.
sorry,
Yes,
Joe, just to slow this down just a second. We'll get into, I want to dive
100%.
into the coaching, but so far we've covered YouTube ad revenue
Yes,
and then streaming revenue,
yes,
both on Twitch and on YouTube. And so
correct.
I'd like to quickly double click on the streaming revenue.
Yeah.
I know Twitch, there are bits, donations, and
Mhm.
then subs. How does that work on YouTube for
So
streaming?
YouTube is memberships and super chats are the two big ones. So very
What are those?
similar to, say that again.
Just what are those?
Yeah, so super chats are basically just a dollar donation. A lot of times in stream, people do that as a text to speech type feature. So they type a message in, it talks out loud. Yeah, so those are pretty popular on YouTube. I'd say that on Twitch, gifting subs is like the most popular thing to do. People will give bits every once in a while. Generally speaking, I feel like super chats are more popular on YouTube, or there's it's like closer to 50-50. You can play around with it, guys. There's absolutely a argument to be made around like benefits for members. So I do YouTube member / Twitch sub games once a month. So like giving people some incentive. I also do some member only videos on YouTube. It's slightly different than my main channel video. I consider it additional, right? So I did get asked by people like, oh, it's unfair that this is, pay to access. And I'm like, I'm more so giving value to people who are paying or who are members. It's different than a normal video. It's much shorter. It's much more informal. But I am trying to give additional value to members who are paying that $4.99 a month. You could also set your prices at like $2.99 a month. But other big thing to keep in mind, a lot of you guys actually know, some of you guys may know, some of you may not. Twitch is a 50-50 split for the most part. YouTube is 70-30. So yeah, we need to think about like, how much money are we keeping here? 100 subs on Twitch is not the same as 100 subs on YouTube when it comes to how much you get paid on that.
And so a member on YouTube is analogous to a sub on Twitch.
On Twitch. Yep.
Cool. Great.
Yes.
And then during streams, how common is it for you to like what's a great stream for you in terms of people donating and the money to be made in as you put it, a 2-hour stream?
I would say right now, I actually recently started doing something that I actually got from another creator who is doing a daily member goal giveaway. And I have loved this, both from a perspective of like, yeah, it does encourage people to gift and give super chats and stuff, but it's also a way for me to give back to the community and do a giveaway anytime we hit it. So essentially, again, Monday through Friday, I stream every day. Any day that we hit 40 member / sub, the way I do it is like everything's added into a pot, right? So like YouTube member, Twitch sub, or a $4.99 super chat, which is the equivalent to the same value or same price as a Twitch sub or a YouTube member, it all counts as one. So, if somebody gifts $5, that's one that counts as one out of 40. Mm-hmm. Somebody gifts 5 on Twitch, that's 5. And if any day we hit 40, then we do a little giveaway. Could be a coaching session that I do, which we'll talk about here in a second. Mm-hmm. Could be a Amazon gift card for a little bit. Could be some merch. I generally let the winner pick. And I just do my giveaways for those of you guys who may potentially be interested in doing that. I just do them through Streamlabs. Streamlabs CloudBot has a giveaway feature.
Cool. This is daily, you said. A daily giveaway.
Daily. Any day we hit it, I do it.
Cool. Great.
So that's been something I've been really enjoying recently and has helped. So, 40 total, right? But again, we talk about the 50-50 split versus 70-30 split. It's like 100 something, 150-ish, depending on the split. And then anything over that, like, is definitely a really, really good stream.
Great. So YouTube ad revenue, then revenue from streaming.
Yes.
And now to your coaching program, which I
Yes.
rudely interrupted as you were
No, that's fine.
taking us into.
No, that's okay. I mean, this has been something I've been doing for 2.5, 3 years now. It is, again, just something that I've built out for myself as something that works really well with my content. And the fact that I am doing, Warzone tips, tricks, and coaching, that people can sign up for coaching if they want to, where I break down gameplays. I have kind of 2 different tiers right now, one where we meet, one where we don't meet. And I have a calendar, I have availability, they schedule, they send a gameplay to me, they schedule, we meet, I send them notes back in a video. And then, that's kind of grown. My prices have gone up, which thanks to Dillan, because Dylan and I have worked a lot on the pricing model and trusting, kind of my pricing and my availability and stuff like that. And so that, again, has just added to the total pot and the total pool of everything, and definitely helps with just making more supplemental income.
And this lives on Patreon?
92%.
92%?
92% takeaway to the creator. 8% to
Oh,
Patreon.
Wow. Amazing. I didn't even know that. 92%.
Yep. These are all guys, like, these are all things that I think about. And I was on YouTube for a while. It was going great. And then I was like, Patreon 92%. That's like an extra 22% to what YouTube's giving me. So we're going over there.
And what are the differences in tiers for this Patreon coaching program?
Yeah, so I've had a large range of levels of coaching that you can get. I was up to 7 at one point, all providing different things and different levels of value. Ultimately, I've backed down to 2, both from an availability perspective, but also what do I think is most valuable for people. There's a 3rd that I will reintroduce every once in a while if I have slots open, because I limit the amount of slots. But basically, it comes down to this. The first level, I guess there's 4. The first level is group coaching. So that happens twice a month. People can just basically, it's a huge group. Anybody in the coaching program comes in. We all meet together. We break down some clips. We break down, my gameplay, your gameplay, whatever it is. And we all meet together. You can ask questions at any point in time. Interrupt me, whatever it may be. The second one is the second level is you send me a game and I break it down and give you some notes back, and then that's it, right? So we don't meet, but I still break down your individual gameplay. Group coaching is broad, right? People's clips, my clips, whatever it may be. Next level is your specific gameplay. Next, the level 4 is we actually meet one-on-one. So you send me your gameplay, we meet one-on-one, we break it down together. I send you the recording, I send you the notes, and that's level 4. And then level 5, which is the next one that I've been playing around with, it's actually live coaching. So it's we meet in Discord, you share your screen of you playing. And as you are playing, I will pause you and be like, stop. Why did you just do that? What was your thought process right there? What are you thinking about right here? Really helping you understand what you need to improve on. That one I really think is beneficial, but it's tougher to do than the breakdowns. But it's been all over the place. I, for a while, was actually going in game with people in coaching, but over time realized that wasn't really valuable. I don't think it ended up being we're just playing games together. It didn't really turn into a coaching session. So I decided to go away with that. That's where the Discord came in, because now on console on Discord, you can share your screen. So PC and console can all share screen. And it's been really, really beneficial for me.
Cool. Awesome. So,
and I think the biggest thing that you want to take away from there is adapt, right? Adapt and adjust, understand what's working, what you're enjoying. I was just not enjoying playing games with people in game. Not necessarily from a I don't want to play with people. It was more so I just didn't feel like I could coach because I couldn't actually see what you were doing. What ended up happening was I would play the way I normally play and they would just follow me around and I'd be like, are you watching my game? It was really tough to coach in game. And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Well, it's the natural way of building any product or service. Is you have to just do it and give it to people so that you can see, okay, how do they use it? What do they love about it? What do they hate about it? What do they wish existed that they're not getting?
Yeah.
And the point you just made. I mean, what do I hate about this process? What is sustainable and unsustainable for me? And you brought it up a few minutes ago, so I would love to chat about this idea of money mindset. And this is something that I think it's a little detour here in this revenue stream list, but I think this is very important because we see this all the time within Grindstone, especially people who join for the first time. People who are nervous to charge their audience money and are especially nervous to raise the price of whatever it is they are charging for their audience. And if you'd be willing to share your experience with that, what was tough for you about raising your prices?
That's a tough question because I don't know if you're going to 100% love the answer to this. We'll see that. We'll see. I grandfathered everybody. So if you were at a certain price, I kept you at that price. I never raised it. So it was only new people, but I shut down those pricing slots. So, you know, if you left and then came back, not new price anymore. Or sorry, not the old price. You get the new price. So I grandfathered everybody. I never said, hey, sorry to let you know. I think I actually did it one time. And it was the initial moment that I switched from YouTube to Patreon and I bumped my prices that I said, hey, just an FYI, like what you're currently paying is going to be the level below that now. So like just an FYI, that's going to switch. But after that, I never charged people more when I upped my prices. It was always new people.
Why do you think I wouldn't like that answer?
Well, I know you've always, at least I could be wrong here, but I feel like you've always encouraged me to just say, hey, like my prices are increasing, my time's more valuable, like, or even like not a huge jump, right? And be like, hey, this is going to be the new price, but the new price for you is like more than you're paying, but less than what they're paying. Okay. Whereas I've just always across the board said, hey, like you're paying this price, it's going to be the same. I will also add like Patreon. It's a little bit tough to do that because
you can't change if there are people in that tier.
Correct. And like you can't really, I think you like can delete them, but then you lose it. So like I don't want to lose people. Like, yeah, I have some people who just do it to support, right? And they don't really sign up for coaching. They just do it as a way to support me. So, you know, I don't want to delete the level and then like I lose that because it kicks them out. So there's been different reasons that I do that, but ultimately I never increase prices for somebody who's already in. They stay the same, and then I take that one off and then I put a new one up that says, hey, here's the price now.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't say I don't like that answer. I think it breaks a certain principle that I would say teach to the rest of our creators.
Yes.
But I think if it's sustainable for you, if it really doesn't, if you don't feel pain by doing that, then that's fine. I mean, the whole conversation that we're at right now in this podcast is how diversified your revenue streams are. And so, you know,
I also think there's an important conversation about like, what is the objective, right? Like, what's your scale? I mean, if this is something you're looking to scale to be a full-time creator, like, yeah, you're going to have to push people up. But for me, it's a slice of the pie. And, you know, as long as, because Patreon gives me the ability to limit the number of members, like I have at like certain levels, like I could be like, I'm going to have 5 people at this level and only 5 slots at this level. And if somebody leaves, it opens up another slot. But, you know, I can manage my time and my schedule that way. And as long as I'm kind of consistently increasing that revenue and keeping slots filled, then it's just the revenue is going to keep going up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the logistics, the difficulty and the friction of the logistics of changing prices with Patreon tiers is definitely important. The principle that I would teach in general is you should always be raising your prices. If you're not raising your prices on a yearly basis, then you are not keeping up with inflation, and you are therefore you're losing money because your money is worth less, and you're making the same. And what I would teach one to do is not just out of the blue say, hey, I'm immediately changing my prices, so it costs this now. But instead saying, hey, I'm making XYZ changes to make this service more valuable for you and everybody else.
Right.
And in order for me to do that, I do have to raise the price from this to this. But since you and I have been working together already, I'm going to grandfather you in for 3 more months at the normal price that you've been at. So then you're not raising your price, you're giving them a discount, and then just 3 months from now, the discount goes away.
Right. That's a fair way to put it. Yeah, and I think everybody's got to figure out what works best for them, because there's absolutely that dynamic where you say, hey, across the board, like the price is the price is the price.
Yeah.
People are going to leave, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's the classic example. Raise your prices, but then people are going to leave, but you're going to make the same amount of money and you're going to do less work.
And work with more committed people, and you're more committed because you take it more seriously and you take more pride in your work, and you're making more money, spending less time, so you have more resources to divulge to making whatever the service or product is better. Everything gets better as you raise your price. But it's scary to a lot of people, entrepreneurs or otherwise, because you will hear no more.
Yeah.
Because it costs more. Yeah.
Unless you're on Patreon, then you don't hear no, you just see no.
Yeah. Okay. So then you broke down the tiers of this coaching program. And as we can typically see with a lot of paid memberships, certainly Patreon, it gets more and more costly the more access to you they have.
Yeah.
And you have played around with various ways of giving away access to you in ways that I'm sure in the past eventually got to a point where like, this is either not sustainable or this is just not fun for me.
Yeah.
And then over years,
refining. I had too many people in my coaching program at one point. That was crazy.
What was that like?
Good problem to have. I mean, it was like 40 something people in there. I was coaching like all the time. Like every night I was coaching like for 2 to 3 hours. Sundays were every other Sunday for like 5 to 6 hours, both in the afternoon and the evening. It was a lot. It was a lot, but I'm making just as much money with less people now.
Yep. And what a great way to filter out people by raising your prices.
Yeah.
So we have, again, YouTube ad revenue. We have streaming revenue. The thing, you tell me what else I'm missing, but I know you have sponsors and brand deals and also TikTok revenue. And I don't know if you make anything from Instagram, but.
I don't make anything from Instagram. I do. TikTok was, okay, so I looked at my numbers over here. So like YouTube by far and away was like my number one source of revenue last year. Like hands down, not even close. My second was actually Patreon in my coaching program. And then TikTok was right there with it. So those two were equal. Kind of see like where I am very much in the mindset of like total pool, you know, and trying to diversify as much as possible and just get as many revenue streams as I possibly can. So yeah, TikTok was great last year. Not so much this year. This year, TikTok is like, just from a Call of Duty content perspective, it's not doing well. I actually, if I was not working with a shorts editor, and I would not recommend this necessarily, especially if you're trying to grow, but I personally, for me, would probably not be posting shorts if it wasn't for my shorts editor. I basically told him like, as long as we break even, it is what it is. Like I just don't have the bandwidth right now to do it, based on the ROI that I'm receiving, which is not a lot. And I don't know what changed, whether it's like the game that came out, which isn't doing the best, or whether it was like the whole TikTok thing. I'm not 100% sure. All I know is for me personally right now, over the past 2 to 3 months, I've not gotten a ton of ROI compared to what I had last year. So I am better off spending my time elsewhere. And that's just, I am posting, 3 to 4 shorts a week. I'm having an editor do it. And again, as long as I break even, like, it kind of sucks that way, but in the long run, if I can go, hey, I am still, if at the end of 2025, I look back and I go, I broke even on shorts, which by the way, the only other option to not doing a shorts editor is to not do them at all, right? So if I didn't have a shorts editor, I just wouldn't do them. So at the end of 2025, hey, I broke even or made a little bit of money. It gave me some value. Got some followers on Twitch. That's harder to measure, right? Like how many people are going to live streams and stuff like that from TikTok or checking out your other content from TikTok. There is that unmeasurable component to posting shorts and posting on YouTube shorts as well. But if at the end of 2025, I go, hey, broke even on TikTok, my Let's Play channel did really, really well, and I spent a lot of time on that as opposed to making shorts, that's a win for me. So that's a win for me. So yeah, TikTok is like not good this year. It was great last year. But I think there's a lot of reasons for that, and I've just kind of reprioritized.
Which proves the importance of not solely relying on something like ad revenue in general.
There were a lot of people who were going to be looking for jobs when TikTok got banned because that's their only source. Or, there's harsh reality. Call of Duty's down a little bit this year. There's probably a lot of people who have to quit streaming and go find a job because for the last 2 years, all they did was stream and rely on other people, gifting subs and gifting members, and they put all their eggs in that basket. And now all of a sudden, Call of Duty's down a little bit, viewership's down, subs aren't rolling in as much, and now they don't have enough to pay their bills. And now they have to go find a job.
It's a really tough thing. And it's why in Grindstone, one of the first things that we do is we choose a monetized asset that is outside of ad revenue. Our goal is that ad revenue is just a beautiful little bonus at the end of the month, whatever it is, whether it's $1,000 or $10,000. Like, what is a controllable business, i.e. a coaching program or a paid community, or, how vicious and assertive are you in nailing down brand deals and sponsorships, affiliate programs, etc. And that actually reminds me. The one thing we didn't cover yet is sponsors and brand deals.
Yes.
If you'd be willing to take us through.
Yeah, there are ebbs and flows. I have a really good partnership with a controller company. Again, just really makes sense with me being in the, Warzone educational space. If you want to get better, a better controller is absolutely going to help you. It's not a make or break, like you can't be good if you don't have one, but it's absolutely going to help you. So I have a really good partnership with them. That is base plus commission. So it kind of depends on how much I sell. And then I have different brand deals throughout. I work with I have an agent who handles my brand deals just because of my size and because they have the relationships and know the space better than I do. All I would tell you guys from a brand deal perspective is protect yourself, be weary, don't let them take advantage of you by, you think, oh, I need this $250 brand deal. It's like that $250 probably isn't going to make or break your full-time content creator, journey. So it's like, protect yourself, be smart, don't get taken advantage of, because it's probably going to happen even with me saying this, but it's just, there's a lot of brands who are working within a budget and want to cut corners wherever they can. So, for me personally, I have the main one that's every single month. I've been with them for like a year plus now. And then, yeah, like different brand deals pop up here and there throughout from different companies. And don't feel like you have to say yes to everything. That's the other thing. There's stuff I'll say no to, whether it's like a gambling. I just protect my audience. So if I get approached with a brand deal, my agent at this point knows this. We have a very specific no list, but like, I know my audience tends to be a little bit younger. So like, no, I'm not going to do an ad for a gambling website. Like, I don't need to be the person who teaches a 15-year-old who's looking to get better at Warzone. I don't need to teach him about slots and how he can go potentially win money or in reality lose money playing slots.
Right.
So, always keep that in mind.
To continue on that momentum real quick, what else is on the no list? Like, what are the standards of, like, if it's this, then this? What are the principles or standards that you abide by in terms of who you take on as a partner?
It's a lot of just like, I just try to be non-controversial. So like, no like zins or like vapes, like no alcohol. Those are probably the three big ones there. Those are probably the three biggest ones where I'm like, I don't need it. And it just isn't going to do me or my audience any good. I'll do factor meals. I'll do, an editing program. I'll do, like a mobile game or something, like a War Thunder, or if any of you guys have heard of that, I've done a brand deal with them. Like, I'll do those ones, but I'm not doing, gambling companies or alcohol sponsorships or anything like that.
Yeah. So as I heard it, almost like the question or the razor is like, let's just create this 15-year-old avatar of CupppaJoe5 fan. Would me introducing this 15-year-old CupppaJoe5 fan to this company do I think that would be not only a good look for me, but would make this kid's life better?
Be a good influence. That's the way I always look at it. I also am a very family friendly streamer. I don't cuss. I don't do. People are like, why they cuss in the game? I was like, because I'm not going to be the one to teach them that. I said, if their parents let them play the game and they learn a cuss word from the game, it's not me. I'm not going to be, and that's just a personal choice. I don't have anything. I don't have anything wrong with streamers who cuss. It doesn't bother me. It's just for me personally, I look at it as, especially because my wife's a teacher and, we've had this conversation where it's like, I don't need to be that influence.
Yeah.
Just a personal decision.
Yeah. Great. And as we come to the end of this conversation, sir, I asked you in one of our first conversations what piece of advice you would give yourself who just started out creating content. And to take us home today, I would love to know what piece of advice you would give yourself a year ago today.
What piece of advice? So a year ago today, I was still working full time. I was very close. I knew that I was going to put in my 2 weeks notice, but I had not put it in yet. What advice would I give? I think the obvious one is diversify, right? It was all sunshine and rainbows last year. Oh man, we had no rain last year. And then it absolutely downpoured, hurricaned in November, December on Call of Duty content creators. Like it was sunshine and rainbows. The sky was beautiful. And then like November hit and we got blindsided by a rainstorm and it was bad. But again, if you diversify,
what does that mean? Blindsided by a rainstorm?
The integration just didn't go well. And like the viewership is down, ad revenue's down, monthly income's down. But diversification is important because, again, I look at everything as total pool. So, month to month, it's like YouTube main, YouTube second, Twitch, TikTok, brand deals, coaching program. Yeah, I get a little bit from Discord, but it all pieces together to create what I need to support my family. And I should also add to this, like every creator is at a different spot in their life. And that's just the cards that you're dealt. I love the life that I've got a wife, I've got a kid, I've got a house. Like my expenses are higher than a 21-year-old who's just getting started. And, if you are young and listening to this, like you've got a golden ticket. Like you've got, it's funny. I saw this video the other day. Like you have the one thing nobody else can have, which is time. Like you have time. If you're older and listening to this, guys, it's still possible, right? Like it is still possible. It's going to be a little bit tougher. You got to balance your time. There were absolutely conversations my wife and I had where I was ready to go full time. I was thinking about it. And then we were having a kid. And then it was like, oh, maybe now is not the right time. Maybe we should wait another 6 months or so and get a little bit more savings under the belt, make sure I'm making a little bit more. And eventually it was the right time. And that was 3.5 years of grind and sacrifice, and both on my end with friends and stuff like that, but also on my wife's end, not doing crazy stuff on the weekends and, taking these crazy vacations. We would vacation, but like, it wasn't like every weekend we were going somewhere because I was working a lot. But it's possible. It 100% is possible. Just keep that diversification in the back of your mind. It is great to run your own business. It is scary to run your own business with somebody else partially controlling it.
And so I hear diversify, but also it sounded like in what you just said, having a safety net and a safety pot or a rainy day fund, as you put it, is also equally important. And so to put it all together, again, this is just as I heard it, do everything within your power to make sure that you're never one bad month away from ruin.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you want to have like the traditional, what everybody says, like 3 to 6 months of expenses at any point in time saved up, just so you can survive the ebb and flow. Don't think a great month in June is going to mean you're going to have a great month in January, because that is very easy to be like, we're rocking and rolling in June. Expenses are low, revenue's high. Let's go spend some money. And then December hits and you're like, this isn't good. this is not good. We're not making as much. So, that is again where I look at total revenue. Don't get too high, don't get too low. I will actually pull back to this because I had this conversation very early on with Dillan last year, right after I went full time. That right after going full time, I went full time April 1st. April was one of the worst months that I had in a while, and May was the best month that I had ever. And then I continued to grow through June, July, August. But like I'm looking back on it now, is like March was low, and then April was very similar. May was up, then June was down, then July was up, and then we kind of held steady with like a little bit of a drop off throughout the rest of the year. And then it's like July, and then August is a little bit below, and then like September, October, November are all the same, and then December just like boom. But I already had that total revenue picture in mind and had put myself in a good spot financially where it was okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're crushing it, man. And I've been impressed for years of us not just knowing each other, but working together. And man, you continue to impress, you continue to inspire. We have a lot of people coming into Grindstone who are like, yeah, like I watched CupppaJoe, like that guy's a machine. You have done the thing, and you continue to do the thing. And it's awesome. I can't wait to see what you continue to do next. And as we come to the end here, I'll leave links to all the main and expected channels. But is there any place in particular you want me to point people to check out more of what you got going on?
Yeah, I will very carefully say this. I will point you to my Let's Play channel, but do not subscribe unless you actually are going to watch the videos. Please. No, I'll point people there. It is that variety sense. So even if you don't watch Warzone, I'll just give a quick, depending on when you're watching this, today is, I guess, I don't know if you did this in the intro, but today's March 5th. I'm finishing up Spider-Man Remastered. I'm finishing up Red Dead 2. Headed into, by the way, just for the record of how much I'm doing at one time on this Let's Play channel and how kind of gas pedal down I am right now. I am playing Spider-Man Remastered. I am finishing Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 is going to be replaced by GTA 5. Spider-Man Remastered is going to be replaced by God of War. Then I'm going to stream once a week, which I have not done yet, but I'm going to stream once a week Spider-Man Miles Morales. And I've already planned on April 3rd that hopefully God of War is done, and I'm going to play The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. So, like, I'm always thinking about, like, not only what's today, but, like, what's this next week? What's this next month? Especially on that channel where I'm really trying to put the pressure on, put that gas pedal down.
You are a machine among us peasants, sir.
No,
and
I'm a normal person who just, I'm a work. I love it. And I hope that came through in today's podcast, like how exciting, like you guys want it. It's there. You know, it might not be there what you're doing right now. It might be there based on what you discover in 3 months from now. But the only way to get better at it is just to keep doing it and keep learning. That's all I did.
Joe, you're the man. Love this conversation as I always do. Thank you for being here. Thanks for your time, and thanks for sharing everything that you did today.
Absolutely.